We are officially live with Gentle Discipline, coming off an awesome class last night on conscious outreach in the psychedelic professional. Got my Black Rifle coffee here. I might need a little bit more, so I don't have rocks in my mouth today. But today, I want to talk about 5 fallacies that are stopping you from turning your passion into your side hustle, into your lifestyle. And so the key promise of this is just to surface those 5 fallacies and then provide reframes for each of them. So maybe better questions to ask yourself and better ways to look at, what these fallacies are actually doing within us that are stopping us from making the big decisions to, build something else. And hopefully what you'll see from this is building something else does not require like this humongous, drastic change. It really doesn't. It just requires you to give yourself permission to do something else. And that looks different for every single person. Sometimes it's leaving the job that you hate. Sometimes it's staying in that job and working in it from 9 to 5 and then building outside of it. But really what everyone is trying to do, if they are pursuing their passion, turning their passion into a side hustle and then a lifestyle, is flip-flopping that schedule and making the 9 to 5 that time when we are doing what we love, and what a gift that is. So yeah, we'll jump right into these fallacies, and I want to start with number one, what I talked about in yesterday's article, and that's the salary replacement myth. And so that's basically saying, I'll leave the job when I'm sure that I can replace the salary that I'm making now. And when we anchor the decision to change to replacing our salary, then we're measuring our future against the present. And the present is always going to win because the present is more certain. And so, included in that present is a framework that will not and really cannot apply to the future. That includes our employer's compensation structure. It includes our current cost of living, which obviously changes, maybe with commutes, maybe with clothes, maybe with all kinds of different things. And most importantly, it includes the identity that we have organized our entire life around. And it's huge. And so when we measure the future against the present, our nervous system is always going to pick the present because it's familiar with the present. And that's the safest bet. And so, along with this, the goalposts will always keep moving too, right? If we're making, let's say, $3,000 or something like that, and we say, okay, well, if I can just make $5,000, then I'll leave, then I'll change everything, I'll drop it all, and then we start making $5,000, but it's like, oh shoot, I forgot. Now I'm in a different tax bracket, and my taxes cost more money, or now, we had to move cities, and it's more expensive here, and the goalposts will always keep moving. You cannot predict for all of the things that are coming in the future, and so you have to just base your decisions on the present moment. Hey, good morning, Yvonne. Thanks for being here. Yeah. And so, again, the reframe is that we're not solving for salary replacement. We're solving for a floor. So instead of saying like, okay, I have to replace all of the giant salary that I'm making right now, right away. All I have to do is I have to say, okay, what is enough? What is the number where I would be okay? And that gives us permission to start. And that's really all we're looking for, is permission to start. The second fallacy I want to talk about is the not ready yet trap. And we really confuse we confuse certainty with readiness. And they're two totally different things, right? And the truth of it is that certainty is never available to us at the beginning of anything. And again, it's our nervous system that is just casting a vote for certainty. And so, uncertainty in this case is familiarity. We are certain of what we have right now. We are familiar with what we have right now. And so, yeah, the timing of this topic is nuts. We have to talk. Cool. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I'd love to, Yvonne. And yeah, if you have anything else that you guys want to share in the chat, then definitely pop in. This is live, and people listen to it afterwards. It's available on Spotify too. But yeah, if you want to join for these live sessions, we always have a couple people popping in and out of these. I do them every Wednesday morning at 10:15 Eastern. So yeah, the same mechanism of that our nervous system uses to cast votes for familiarity is the same thing that keeps people trapped in abusive relationships. And a lot of times people have abusive relationships with their profession and with their jobs and the structure that they feel trapped in. And so what do we do to kind of like, soothe this readiness loop is we're like, okay, I just need one more certification and then I'll be ready. I need one more skill and then I'll be ready. And that soothes the loop for a little while, but it doesn't answer the full question of providing radical certainty for us, which is really what our nervous system is asking for. So we have to realize what our nervous system is asking for and say, like, I can't give that to you, but what I can give you is confidence to start. And again, we are starting. There's a big difference between being ready to start and being ready to succeed. And if you realize that you cannot succeed unless you start, then it makes it a lot easier to give yourself permission. Um, the third fallacy is, trading one boss for 10 clients. And so people will say, okay, I have to make money. That is, such an important driver, right? And I do not want to understate its importance, because making money in this world is important, obviously. But if your business ends up stealing freedom from you in any way, then it's just a louder job. And not only that, you've removed the HR department. So you don't even have that protection anymore because the buck stops with you. And so if you are going to, leave your employment just to say yes to everyone, you're going to multiply your stress tenfold. You have to ask yourself, am I solving a problem that I believe in, or am I just hustling for money? Am I solving a problem that I really believe in, or am I just hustling for people's money? And this attachment to money as an outcome, right? Like, it's part of the process, it's part of the energy exchange for sure. But attachment to money as an outcome is just a surefire way to breed resentment. And I want to share this Alan Watts quote that I love so much. He says, if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you'll spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things that you don't like doing in order to go on living. That is, to go on doing things that you don't like doing, which is stupid. And it took me a few reads to understand what he was trying to say there, but he's absolutely right. And so one of the biggest places that you see this in people's businesses is client selection. People are so willing to say yes because they're so afraid of the scarcity that they might experience if they don't have clients coming in. So what we do is we reframe it and we say client selection is part of the design decision. It's not a luxury, it is part of the design. You build it in, and then you don't negotiate with yourself after you're desperate. Number 4 is the market rate ceiling, right? Like, I can only charge what other people charge. And that is built on the same foundation of a corporate pay structure, right? Like, it is trapped in this non-flexible arena where we get paid what we paid, and then we get our 2% bonus every single year, and then we get our 2% raise every year, and then we get the bonus that the government takes half of, and we're just stuck in this in this rising ladder that benefits the corporation or benefits the employer and not really us. But the deeper issue here is a value problem. And it's how much we value ourselves. And so the only question that you need to be asking is not how much would I pay for this? How much do I think someone else would pay for this? But how much is this worth? How much is this worth? I had a client one time. He's a wonderful oil pastel painter, and he had this really wonderful, story where somebody said, he told him how much he charged for a painting, which was in the thousands, and the guy was like, oh well, you didn't take 10 hours to paint this or whatever, and so how can you charge that much? And he's like, well, I'm not charging you for the hours that it took me to paint this. I'm charging you for the years that it took me to get good at doing this. And it's such an interesting kind of like reframe, but there's nothing stopping us from using that point of view when we first start thinking about what we're going to kind of launch. And so again, right, the reframe here is, this is a design choice. So we have to realize substitutability, right? Like, we cannot be substitutable. So if we really are pursuing something that we're passionate about, it's easy not to be substitutable, meaning no one can replace us. Because if I'm passionate about this, then I am bringing a unique flavor to this that no one else can possibly have, because no one else is me. And so it's really just getting comfortable and confident. I'm charging for the years it took me to get good at doing this. Yeah, exactly. So, excellent. The fifth fallacy is waiting for permission, right? And so, someone needs to validate this before I go all in, right? Someone needs to validate this before I go all in. The truth of that is that no one is coming. No one is going to validate this. And that structure of traditional employment that grants external validation and has the boss checking up on you and saying, good job. It's very reminiscent of mom and dad saying, oh, good job, son, good job, daughter. And the game is different when you want to escape that trap of external validation, and you realize that the game that you're playing now is one of self-authorization. And that is huge. It's a huge recognition. And so what you're really waiting for is not permission from someone else. You're waiting for permission from yourself. And sometimes we tell this story in our head that's like, okay, if I had more confidence, then I would give myself permission. If I had more skills, then I would give myself permission. But the truth of that is, and like this is the key reframe here, is that confidence is downstream of the decision, not the other way around, right? So the decision is not downstream of confidence, meaning if I have enough confidence, I'll make the decision. Confidence is downstream of the decision. So I make the decision, and then all of a sudden, evidence of my competence begins to accumulate, which builds all sorts of confidence for me. So we have to act first, and it doesn't mean that we don't build mistakes into our plan, and that again we are bringing this beginner energy sometimes. That's okay. We're not trying to be perfect from the start. We're just trying to start, and then we have to learn how to succeed. And so, kind of in closing all of this, right? None of this is comfortable, right? None of this is comfortable whatsoever. But neither is staying in a job that you hate. Uh, and so with this, we're not really talking about productivity. We're not talking about hustle. We're not talking systems, all these other things. We're just talking about honest measurement in our own minds. And once we start measuring honestly, we realize that the decision has already been made, right? Like now we just have to act. I thank you guys so much for your attention this morning and for being here. If you're listening to this later, I'd love to hear from you. Cool. I'll be here next week, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Cheers.